Like mother, like daughter, is Doria worse than Meghan? Meghan Markle might be a piece of work, but in actuality, her mother is a lot worse. Betrayal seems tame compared to a potential patricide. Betrayal really does seem to be in the female genes on the Raglan side. William's Catherine decision has made history. As the Princess of Wales battles cancer, the Prince of Wales is trying something completely unprecedented. That's the information that we're going to update you about in this video, and we're happy to see you again on Kate Middleton and the Queen channel. Family, drama, habits, characteristics, there's a lot that is often passed down from one generation to the other. So the romance of Harry and Meghan is quite similar to that of Edward and Wallis Simpson. Is Prince Harry about to be ruined by yet another family's generational learning? So apparently, Wallis didn't really want to marry Edward, but I'm sure she enjoyed the glamour and the glitz of royal life. See, she also didn't want to have to deal with all the boring work that entailed. Edward also couldn't be bothered with all that work, and he was both entitled and then very vindictive when he didn't get his way. He went on to betray the royal family, much like Harry. Meghan, much like Wallis, wanted all the glamour, all the glitz, and all the benefits that royal life provided, but she didn't want to have to do any of that annoying hard work. For instance, opening a new town hall on a wet Wednesday morning, having to shake hands and actually speak with the hoi polloi, oh my god. And Harry wanted all the good things that royal life gave, but he didn't want to have to do any hard work either. Much like Edward, Harry is incredibly jealous, entitled, and certainly vindictive. And now we have another family who seems to pass down some characteristics from generation to generation. I'm sure Meghan Markle learned a lot about her scheming and manipulative ways from her mother, Doria. Honestly, from the moment Spare hit shelves, it felt to me like Meghan was setting Harry up for divorce and she was going to walk away with a big settlement. Harry fell into her trap with all his revelations of using drugs, etc., in Spare. And Doria's background is still a mystery. Some people say there were scandals, some people say she had affairs, and other people suggest a really tumultuous family history. But how could we forget about the interesting stories surrounding Meghan's family, including her father's tragic accident and her mother's role in her upbringing? Now, there are a lot of rumors out there about Doria's past, including that she got herself into some financial trouble and perhaps even tax evasion. It's a good reminder, though, that even people close to royalty have their own trials and tribulations. But it looks like in Meghan's case, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Doria pointed the finger at Thomas's supposed drinking, and Harry has admitted to his drug and alcohol use to everybody, so it's not going to be a good thing for him in the end. But see, I would also expect that Harry's family has plenty of information on Meghan and Doria too, so they should both be incredibly cautious in what they say about Harry. He's not going to lose anything if he plays dirty as well. And this may be the only time that Harry shows himself to actually have a set of cojones. So you all probably won't be surprised to hear that I spend a lot of time digging around the corners of the internet. And sometimes I come across certain photos of William that just make me feel sad. So there was a time in the early 2000s when William looked less like his father's son, a little bit awkward with pretty big ears, and instead he looked more like a Disney prince. I mean, the jawline, the hair, those eyes, just overall an absolute dreamboat. But today, William doesn't look like that anymore. Instead, he kind of looks to me like an accountant who has spent way too much time in the office. William, it looks to me like, is incredibly stressed out. Now, I'm not blaming him for that. He's under a lot of stress, but it is a sad thing. But while William's looks may not be what they were back in the early 2000s, the insanity of March has proven one thing. He is every bit the dashing brave prince that he once was. In fact, I would say he's more so today. William has, without anybody really noticing, just done something that the previous 22 princes of Wales have failed to do, or possibly refused to do. William has actually been a really good husband. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, stop the presses. So is it too early for somebody to start writing a song about this whole story? Now, if you don't spend a lot of your time thinking about the history of the royal family, reading about it, then maybe you don't realize what an amazing thing this actually is. Last weekend, of course, William's wife Catherine, the Princess of Wales, revealed to the world that she was diagnosed with cancer. The announcement came from her sitting by herself on a bench in Windsor, a tableau of her own choosing, according to the Sunday Times. So, wait a minute. What is this? A royal wife is allowed to make her own decisions? She's making decisions about her own well being? For commoners, this is nothing unusual, and in many cases, it's the way things should be. But for a family with Wales attached to their name, specifically the Prince and Princess of Wales, this is essentially unheard of. It may have been Catherine who decided to reveal her diagnosis to the world without William there beside her, but the role that he has been playing behind the scenes is nothing short of outstanding, at least for a prince. Royal husbands don't necessarily have the best track record. Usually it's pretty appalling, in fact. Over the last few hundred years, princes and kings have done a lot. They've locked them up, they've murdered them, they've divorced them, abandoned them, abused them, tormented them, and even sued their significant others. And we haven't even talked about the untold number who have also slept around, causing their wives a whole lot of heartache, a lot of humiliation too, and I'm sure anger. And how many illegitimate children do we know about? A lot. So, throughout history, queens and princesses have been expected to do basically one thing. Well, maybe two things: get pregnant and produce lots of little HRHs, and then just remain nice and silent. Or even better, after they fulfill their duties of producing some little heirs, maybe they can just go somewhere and never be heard from again. So in the past, Windsor men had a great time. They would play card games, they were into horses, they would enjoy shooting parties, they enjoyed plenty of mistresses, and they had some interesting friends too. And sometimes, of course, they would get to sign a bill into law. It was all just a day's work. But caring about their wives and their families, nah, not such a big thing for them. Maybe there was a portrait to be painted, or maybe it was Christmas Day, and on those days they would pretend to be all happy and loving, but otherwise, no. Most importantly, the history of the British monarchy, and perhaps every single monarchy around the world, has seen men treat their wives absolutely horribly. We have some instances of indifference, and then other times they're just cruel. So it is against this backdrop that we should really be thinking about how we should judge William. And he is taking a very hardline approach when it comes to taking care of his wife and his family at this particular time. After weeks worth of reporting, we have seen one point driven home. He is adamant that Catherine be given the privacy, the time, and the space that she needs, and the only priority in his family right now is her health. In January, after we found out that Catherine was in the London clinic for abdominal surgery, it was also announced that William was not going to be doing that unfeeling guy thing. He was not going to be putting his duty first. Instead, the prince went on full dad mode, as the Sunday Times put it. Back then, the paper's royal editor, Roy Anika, reported that William would combine being by his wife's and children's side, and that inside the Wales household, the motto was 100% family first. And we do need to note that William is doing all of this with the full support of his father, King Charles, who, didn't do so well at being a husband himself when it came to Diana, the late Princess of Wales. And William's uncompromising attitude has only become more so after we've heard about Catherine's diagnosis. Indeed, a royal aide told the Times all he wants to do is protect his wife and children. The family just want to go away for Easter, spend time together, the five of them, close off from the world. Last weekend, a friend of William's and Catherine's told Nika, undoubtedly what has happened to him in his life with his mother has led him into the protection mode he is in now. And I'm sure some people are going to say the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm sure some people are going to criticize William. Why should we applaud a man for doing what most of us would consider to be pretty normal? Him being there for his partner when she's unwell and when his children need him. And I would say, sure, yes, normal people would do this, but let's think about royal men. Do they have a history of doing this kind of thing? Absolutely not. So, as I see it, William, the Prince of Wales, is doing something that, as far as I can tell, no prince has ever exactly done before. He's putting the needs of his wife and family first, above his own and even above the needs of the monarchy. And that's not to say that William is perfect. Of course, he's made a few mistakes. I still don't think that he should have let Catherine take the fall for that whole Mother's Day photo. But what has become obvious is the extent to which he's trying to do right by his family. And for that, I admire him so much. Back in 2021, remember how Prince Harry discussed wanting to break the cycle of pain and suffering when it came to raising his own children? Which I would guess Charles wasn't very happy to hear, but he said it anyway. Well, it looks like Harry's older brother, Prince William, is doing some cycle breaking of his own. He's breaking the cycle of being a downright lazy husband. So let's give credit where credit is due. William right now is showing that not only is he still an incredibly handsome prince, he's also a protective, loving, and supportive father and husband. And you, what do you think about these updates? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments. If you think my video is helpful, don't be afraid to like and share it with anyone else who would enjoy it anytime you want. And please subscribe to our Kate Middleton and the Queen channel. Thank you so much for watching, goodbye, and I'll be back to see you in the next videos.